It's not uncommon to see a movie that's either a remake, book adaptation, or a sequel to a previous franchise. In fact, it seems to be the norm in the film industry to stay inside a box of already well-established stories.
Well, Hollywood has always been about one thing, and that's making money. They've always wanted to go after what are called established properties. Some of the earliest film adaptations ever, some of the earliest silent films ever were, Bible stories and Shakespeare stories because there was already a built-in audience for those things.
This trend started in the beginning of the film industry and has continued in today's pop culture with very limited room for creativity.
There's a certain generation of people who have come of age, and it's people kind of my generation. I grew up reading comic books and being kind of a nerdy kid, comic books and video games and all that stuff. And when I was 10 or 12, I would have, cut off my right arm for an Iron Man movie. So all those people from that generation are now adults with jobs and disposable income. And so Hollywood has figured out that people like me will pay to go see movies.
Even though independently made original films like Napoleon Dynamite and Little Miss Sunshine have done well money-wise, the film industry continues to draw its audience from well-established stories, rather than risk building an audience from scratch.
World, it takes more work. It takes a lot more work because you have to round up your own money, your own resources, your own everything. But with the right people in place and the right script, you can absolutely make as good of a film, if not a better film, independently than the Hollywood blockbusters can.
It is also not uncommon for directors to refuse making movies because they can't make it their own.
The director, Anna DuVernay, who directed Selma 2 years ago, very talented filmmaker, really smart. She was approached to direct Marvel's Black Panther movie. And after a few weeks of discussion, she backed out. And it was because, and the same thing happened to Edgar Wright, who directed Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead, this really original filmmaker. He backed out of making Ant-Man because they didn't want an Edgar Wright movie. They didn't want an Anna DuVernay movie. They wanted a Marvel movie made by these people. They have a formula.
Even when people get tired of seeing the same stories over and over again, there will always be something else that can be copied.
And so that's kind of the eternal cycle. Something new comes along, and then Hollywood co-opts it and copies it and tries to profit as much as they possibly can from it. It burns out, and then it starts a new cycle. You don't see we're not seeing a lot of Twilight-esque movies, but right after Twilight came out, we saw a lot of Twilight-esque movies. Harry Potter's huge success. We saw, Percy Jackson try and fail. And so it's just kind of that cycle where they keep trying to find something that makes money. They'll find something, but it's like making a photocopy of a photocopy. The quality goes down with each iteration.
We'll just have to wait and see what different movies come out in the future.